There is a belief that Winnie Mandela was marginalized and disrespected by the very political system she helped establish, especially the African National Congress. Her significant contributions as a courageous opponent of apartheid and a dedicated proponent of land and economic justice were insufficiently acknowledged by the ANC during her time, whereas opposition groups like the Economic Freedom Fighters have continued to honor and uphold her legacy in significant ways.
This period of my life is one of the saddest I can remember. I am shocked and deeply angered to witness what is happening to our organization I sacrificed my life for.
Winnie Mandela was born on 26 September 1936, and her life was characterized by an unwavering dedication to the liberation of Black South Africans. She stood in solidarity with her community during some of the most challenging times of apartheid, facing persecution, imprisonment, and isolation. Despite these trials, she continued to be a beacon of hope and resistance, advocating not only for political freedom, but also for economic justice for the Black majority in the country. However, in the years after South Africa's transition to democracy, the ANC seemed to distance itself from her. This was particularly noticeable after 1994, when the ANC leadership began prioritizing reconciliation with white capital and landowners, thereby overlooking the radical agenda that Winnie Mandela supported. Even as her health declined, the sacrifices she made were largely overlooked by the party she dedicated decades of her life to. Throughout her life, Winnie Mandela frequently faced harsh criticism from the ANC. Following Nelson Mandela's release from prison, she was pushed aside, with many in the party viewing her as a political burden instead of the hero she truly was. Although the ANC released a statement praising her contributions after her passing, these gestures came too late. During her life, she was not granted the respect she earned from the very organization to which she had dedicated so much. It was only after her passing in 2010, reflecting on some of the memories they shared with the late freedom fighter and extending their sympathies to her family. While many of their remarks about her legacy were positively received, a tribute from former President Thabo Mbeki drew severe backlash. I'm saying that some of that activity would even verge on recklessness. For instance, this incident when she said something to the fact that with our mattresses and necklaces, we will liberate the country. That was wrong, Mbeki said. The comments sent social media into a frenzy. We are mourning and he is busy insulting the legacy of Umama Winnie, read one comment. At times, silence is golden, read another. After 1994, Madikizela Mandela became a problematic figure for the ANC, serving as a crude reminder of the image the party sought to distance itself from. Unlike the comrades who had softened during lengthy prison terms and years in exile, she starkly reminded them that the quest for liberation was still unfinished without economic freedom. She boldly challenged ANC leaders and openly critiqued the government that she had fought to establish. Her defiant behavior led the party to develop what she would later term Winniephobia, an unfounded fear or aversion towards her. One of the earliest signs that Madikizela Mandela was to be viewed as a political outcast was a public denouncement by the United Democratic Front following claims surrounding the kidnapping and elimination of Stompie Seipei. The mass organization severed all connections with her for violating human rights in the struggle against apartheid, as stated by UDF Secretary Matthew Morobe. They also encouraged the black community to disassociate from her. These allegations would significantly tarnish her political reputation and, despite Jerry Richardson's conviction for Stompie's murder, would continue to perpetuate the animosity directed at her. In 1990, Madikizela Mandela was charged with kidnapping. Nelson Mandela, her husband at the time, expressed confidence in her innocence, so did the ANC, but by 1991, when Madikizela Mandela was convicted of the crime, she appeared to have lost the unwavering support of the ANC. The last word on this entire affair has not yet been spoken. We elect to leave the matter in the hands of the courts, fully confident that in the end, the truth will emerge, the party said at the time. The ANC Women's League would also see her as too controversial, electing Gertrude Schope as its president at its 1991 conference. Although none in the ANC publicly voiced their suspicion about Madikizela Mandela's role in Stompie's elimination, when she was summoned before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission years later and implored to apologize by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, she viewed it as an act of betrayal by her comrades. She would later tell the TRC that she suspected her ex-husband of being part of a plot to discredit her. In 1992, Madikizela Mandela stepped down from all ANC positions after facing allegations of misappropriating 160,000 rands from the Social Development Department she led, purportedly giving the funds to a deputy, Dali Mpofu, with whom she was rumored to be involved romantically. Her resignation followed just 2 weeks after Nelson Mandela announced their separation. The ANC's National Working Committee stated that her resignation was voluntary, despite during her election campaign in 1997. 1995 marked a turning point for both democracy and her downfall. Following the ANC's electoral triumph in 1994, Madikizela Mandela began to fiercely criticize her party. At the funeral of police officer Jabulani Xaba, who was killed by a white colleague, she accused the ANC from some members.
I have relieved Nomzamo Winnie Mandela of her position as Deputy Minister of Arts, Culture, Science and Technology. This decision has been taken both in the interest of good government and to ensure the highest standards of discipline among leading officials of the Government of National Unity. I have taken this decision after much reflection, given that Comrade Winnie Mandela has in the past played an important role in the struggle against apartheid.
By this time, she was leading the Women's League. Her outspoken critique of the ANC led to 11 senior league members resigning in protest against her leadership. It is suggested that her remarks also motivated Mandela to dismiss her from his cabinet. A month later, she was no longer the Deputy Minister of Arts, Culture, Science and Technology. She faced accusations of lacking team spirit, defying the president, and trying to create discord by criticizing the government. This dismissal marked the end of her holding any executive role in the democratic government for which she had fought.
This executive, some of the executive members who are now resigning because of the road to freedom. I think that the road to freedom was a culmination of events which took place the whole of last year.
It was a very difficult decision, not because of my relationship with Mrs. Mandela, because the matter is not a personal matter, but a national matter. And for the respect of the office of Treasurer Generalship, I had to do it.
The 11 NEC members who has resigned have no constituency. We have never ever seen them in our branches. Let them go, because the women were never consulted.
Winnie Mandela should have been president of South Africa, but men in the ANC were threatened, said economic freedom fighter leader Julius Malema. This narrative, in an article in The Star with National Executive Committee member Steve Jwate's byline, she was labeled by her own party as a wayward charlatan. The line between the personal and the political blurred when her perceived sins against Mandela were unearthed to shut down her criticism of the ANC. She tends to believe that everyone is against her and therefore resorts to strange behavior to attract attention, the article read. For her to try to denigrate the president after the